Hello, I'm Scott Harmon, an architect and developer with Center Studio here in Durham. Since 2004, our studio has created hundreds of homes for people who love Durham. 8 years ago, we attended a phase one training of the Racial Equity Institute. Real estate is my love language, so I chose this book, Rothstein's The Color of Law, for my first deep study of systemic racism. What I learned is that all zoning in the United States, from the very beginning over a century ago, is designed to divide our country by race and class so that my advantage as a white landowner can be preserved. That's why land use politics and power have always been and continue to be dominated by wealthy white neighborhoods. At first, these zoning laws simply said no black people. In 1917, the Supreme Court struck down these explicitly racist laws, so white folks figured out how to get the same results by controlling the dimensions of our property. We could preserve our power, class, and race without actually having to use those words. The popular term today is neighborhood character. Here is the map of Durham's neighborhood character. The pretty green parts are separated from the red ugly parts by four numbers: minimum lot size, setbacks, height, and density. These four numbers applied differently to each part of town are the underlying math, the very laws of physics that define a century of land use politics in this country. These four numbers guaranteed that white homeowners would be able to pass their property and wealth down to their children. When we talk about systemic racism, these formulas, this math, that's the system. We're so used to the physics of these laws that we don't question them. We just keep adjusting the four numbers without challenging the whole paradigm, which is why this diagram of Durham's neighborhood character is still pretty accurate. It's why we keep dividing the people who love Durham. The system gives us the same outcome over and over, even when the people who love Durham in their hearts want a different outcome. The LDC is a remarkable commitment to housing justice, but the proposed infill development provisions in Section 228 are problematic. New housing is required to honor the setbacks and height of the existing housing in the same block. In other words, they perpetuate the physics of our old zoning laws. They preserve our neighborhood character map by allowing each neighborhood to have a different standard for new housing. It's like we've decided that these wealthier neighborhoods don't have to work as hard as other neighborhoods in solving our housing crisis. New development will continue to have a systemic incentive to build in neighborhoods that historically had fewer restrictions. 100 years ago, our standards of density, setbacks, height, and minimum lot size made sure that Southeast Durham carried the burden of the housing we needed, but that our white neighborhoods didn't want. This problematic section of the LDC makes sure that Southeast Durham continues to carry this burden. This is not right. It's not fair. We cannot have a conversation about neighborhood character without talking about the systems of property, power, class, and race that divide the people who love Durham. Property rights are not a private entitlement. They are a community resource. Are we going to prioritize neighborhood character or Durham character? The people who love Durham share power, share privilege, share resources, and share wealth. Durham character intentionally moderates the needs of one neighborhood so that every neighborhood has an opportunity to thrive. Durham character expects everyone to help solve the housing crisis and end the bidding wars, the homelessness, the displacement, and the rampant inflation of housing costs. The LDC isn't going to make your big house or big yard illegal. If you can afford those privileges, God bless you. Just don't make it illegal for our studio to take our absolute best swing at the housing crisis and build Durham character for the people who love Durham.